Hello, welcome to this lecture series on thermodynamics part 3. In the last lecture, I introduced the Kelvin-Planck statement of second law. According to Kelvin-Planck statement, no heat engine can convert heat completely into work. That is, 100% conversion is not possible. Or we can say the other way, efficiency of an heat engine can never be 10%. In this lecture, I am going to introduce the second statement of second law of thermodynamics called Clausius statement. Actually, we have various statements of second law, but I am going to introduce only few statements which are very important for our course. Okay, so what is Clausius statement? See, heat transfer from low temperature reservoir to high temperature reservoir, okay, this transfer does not occur spontaneously, okay, but using a heat pump we can transfer heat from low temperature to high temperature, okay, but if you want to transfer heat from low temperature to high temperature, you must do some external work. Suppose consider a heat pump which is operating in a cyclic manner. This heat pump absorbs Q1 amount of heat from the low temperature reservoir, and we carry out some work, external work, so that heat transfer occurs, okay, from low temperature to high temperature. Now the heat that is transferred to the high temperature reservoir is actually Q2. Then the Q2 is not equal to Q1. Actually Q2 is equal to Q1 plus the work done on the heat pump. So Q2 is equal to Q1 plus W. Here what second law says that this W cannot be 0. W cannot be 0. That means without doing external work, it is not possible to transfer heat from low temperature to high temperature reservoir. From low temperature, from cold end to hot end. Are you able to follow? This is very simple. Listen, so if you want to transfer heat from low temperature to high temperature, you must do some external work. Without doing external work, we cannot convert heat from cold end to hot end. Okay, this is the Clausius statement for second law of thermodynamics. Okay, now this is the formal Clausius statement. It's a formal statement. What is it? It is impossible to construct a device which operating in a cycle will produce no effect other than the transfer of heat from cooler to a hotter body. Okay, see, without producing any effect, right, in the surrounding, it is not possible to transfer heat from cooler to hotter body. That means you have to perform work externally, right, so that surrounding loses some energy, right. So without doing any external work, it is not possible to transfer heat from cooler to a hotter body. This is called Clausius statement. Okay, now so from these two statements, that is Kelvin-Planck statement and Clausius statement, we understood that the transfer of heat to work, okay, using a cyclic process, right, here listen, you can transfer heat into work, but the work obtained will be less than the heat absorbed. So that means you cannot convert heat energy completely into work. 100% conversion of heat into work is not at all possible. So heat energy is considered as low quality or low grade energy. Okay, heat energy is a low grade energy because 100% conversion is not possible. Then the second one, conversion of work into heat. Yeah, using a cyclic process, we can convert work into heat. But in this case, see, it is possible to convert 100% of work into heat. So work is considered as the high grade energy. Okay, because 100% conversion of work into heat is possible. Okay, so from the Kelvin-Planck statement and Clausius statement, Okay, then what is meant by perpetual motion machines? Yeah, in perpetual motion machine we have these are all perpetual motion machines or some hypothetical machines. Okay, listen, here we have two perpetual motion machine. The first one, perpetual motion machine of first kind. Okay, what is meant by this? Listen, there can be no machine which would continuously supply mechanical work without some form of energy disappearing simultaneously. What is the meaning? The meaning is this. Suppose I am having some machine. If I supply electricity, the machine will convert electrical energy into work. If I supply a chemical energy, the machine will convert chemical energy into work, solar energy into work, wind energy into work. Now, suppose if I don't supply these, without supplying any of this, if a machine can produce work continuously, we call that type of machine as perpetual motion machine of first kind. Okay, so there can be, but in nature, in practice, we don't have this type of machine. This is not at all possible because this perpetual motion machine of first kind is a violation of first law. What first law says? That we can convert one form of energy into another form. Okay, you cannot, without supplying this energy, if a machine can produce work, it means work can be created, energy can be created. It is the violation of first law, because we know very well, according to first law, energy can neither be created. So no machine can create energy. What we can do? We can only convert one form of energy into another form. So perpetual motion machine of first kind is a violation of first law, so it is not at all possible. Okay, so I repeat once again. So perpetual motion machine of first kind. What is meant by this? There can be no machine which would continuously supply mechanical work without some form of energy disappearing simultaneously. Okay, then perpetual motion machine of second kind. What is meant by this? A machine which abstract heat from a single source and convert it completely into work. Okay, what is meant by, what is the meaning of this? Listen, we have discussed just before. In Kelvin Planck statement, we saw that, listen, a machine cannot convert the absorbed energy completely into work. Complete conversion of heat energy into work is not at all possible. Okay, so a machine which abstract heat from a single source, that is the high temperature reservoir, and convert it completely into work, right? This type of machine is not at all possible because perpetual motion machine of 2 is a violation of second law. According to second law, okay, when a machine absorbs heat from one reservoir and if it performs some work, it has to reject the remaining heat to a second reservoir. Okay, using a single temperature reservoir, no machine can work. Are you getting the point? See, a machine takes heat from one reservoir, performs some work, then the remaining heat has to be rejected to another reservoir. So you require two temperature reservoirs for a heat engine to perform. Okay, so perpetual motion machine of second kind, it is a violation of second law, so that type of machine does not exist. It's not at all possible. Okay, then, yeah, now we have come to an important part of second law of thermodynamics, that is Carnot engine and Carnot cycle. Sadi Carnot, he proved that efficiency of an heat engine can never be 10%. 100% conversion of heat into work is not at all possible. So no one in the world can make a heat engine which can convert heat energy completely into work. Okay, so 100% efficiency is not at all possible. Yeah, so Carnot engine is actually an hypothetical engine. It is not a real engine. Carnot engine is an ideal reversible heat engine. What is the meaning for the word ideal? Ideal has several meaning. Okay, what is the meaning for the word ideal here? Listen, during the working of a Carnot engine, if the thermodynamic equilibrium between the system and surrounding is maintained throughout, and if there is no dissipative effect observed, okay, during the working of Carnot engine, then we can say that the engine is an ideal engine. Okay, because no dissipative effect means, listen, no friction, no other energy loss occur during the working of a Carnot engine. And one more information, the working substance in Carnot engine is an ideal gas, and we know very well that in ideal gas there won't be any attraction or repulsion exists between molecules. So no energy is consumed, okay, for the breaking of repulsive force or creating of attractive force. Okay, so the heat energy that we supply, right, it is just converted into work, that's all. Okay, no heat energy is taken up by the working substance here. Okay, yeah, this is a perfect ideal system, right, ideal engine. Now Carnot engine is working in thermodynamic cycle consists of the following 4 stages. What are the 4 stages? See, A to B is a reversible isothermal expansion. B to C is a reversible adiabatic expansion. C to D is a reversible isothermal compression, and D to A is a reversible adiabatic compression. Here during isothermal expansion, okay, from A to B, during isothermal expansion from A to B, Carnot engine absorbs Q2 amount of heat from the high temperature reservoir, and the temperature of the reservoir is T2. Then in the stage C to D, that is in the reversible isothermal compression, the engine releases or rejects Q1 amount of heat to the sink. Okay, that is the low temperature reservoir. The temperature of the sink is T1. Okay, so it absorbs Q2 amount of heat and releases Q1 to the sink. So Q2 minus Q1, that is the remaining amount of heat. That remaining heat comes out as useful work. Okay, then. So now what we are going to do, we are going to prove that the efficiency of the engine is not 100%. Okay, yeah, actually this was proved by Saudi. Now see, we have 4 stages of operations. I'll take the first one, reversible isothermal expansion, that is AB. Listen, for this let us assume we have a cylinder with a frictionless piston, and it consists of 1 mole of an ideal gas. So I'll take 1 mole of ideal gas in the container. Now the initial pressure of the gas is P1, initial volume of the gas is V1, let the temperature of the gas is T2. Now you keep this gas in a reservoir, high temperature reservoir. Okay, the temperature of the reservoir is T2. Now allow this piston to go up, that is carry out expansion. If you carry out expansion, what will happen? Since the stage is reversible isothermal expansion, we should maintain temperature constant. Okay, so we should maintain temperature constant. Listen, to maintain temperature constant, heat must flow from the reservoir to the gas. Okay, so Q2 amount of heat is transferred from the reservoir to the gas, and the gas expansion occurs, so the gas reaches certain height. Now after the expansion, volume become large, V2, pressure decreases, let it be P2, and temperature remains constant, which is given as T2. Okay, yeah, so this is the reversible isothermal expansion. It is reversible expansion, it is not sudden. Okay, you should not expand the gas suddenly. Okay, actually the idea is put some amount of sand over the piston and remove the sand one by So to do reversible expansion, okay, actually reversible process is an hypothetical one, it is not a real one. Okay, so just for understanding purpose, I'll say like this. You take some amount of sand over the piston and remove the sand particle one by one, so that the expansion occurs very slowly and steadily, such that the thermodynamic equilibrium between the system and the surrounding is maintained throughout. Okay, so that is the meaning for the reversible expansion. Okay, now what is the work done in the reversible isothermal expansion, that is from A to B? Okay, listen, according to first law of thermodynamics, we know very well, change in internal energy delta U, change in internal energy delta U is equal to Q plus W. Here we have carried out isothermal expansion. Isothermal means temperature remains constant, therefore there is no change in temperature, therefore dt is 0. When dt is 0, then internal energy, change in internal energy should be 0 for an ideal gas. Since the working substance, okay, in the Carnot engine is an ideal gas, therefore delta U is 0. So in the place of delta U, you substitute 0, and in the place of Q, listen, in the expansion A to B, the system absorb Q2 amount of heat. Okay, see this, the system absorb Q2 amount of heat, then the work done in this expansion, let it be WAB. Therefore Q2 is equal to minus WAB. Now how to calculate this work done? You know very well, it's a reversible isothermal expansion. Okay, for reversible isothermal expansion, the work done formula is this, minus nRT2 ln V2 by V1. Here n is number of moles and we took 1 mole of gas, therefore I'll put 1 here. So we will get this expression, minus RT ln V2 by V1. Since the expansion, this is an expansion process, so final volume is larger than the initial volume, therefore V2 by V1 is greater than 1. Okay, therefore this quantity is positive. Since we have minus sign, so this is a negative one. Okay, why it is negative? Because this is an expansion. Expansion means work done by the system. When work is done by the system, work should be negative. Okay, then what about heat? Heat is negative of WAB. Since this is negative, negative become positive, so this is the heat that we supplied. Okay, so Q2 is the heat absorbed by the system, so it must be a positive one. Okay, so this is the work done by the system and this is the heat absorbed by the system during the reversible isothermal expansion. Then the second stage is reversible adiabatic expansion, BC. Now what we have to do, see, after the expansion we reached here at point B. Now take this cylinder and cover this cylinder with a perfect insulating material. Okay, so cover this cylinder with a perfect insulating material such that it in the second stage during expansion, okay, no heat should enter into the system or leave the system. Okay, your system should not allow heat transfer. Okay, so take the cylinder with a perfect insulating material. Now carry out the expansion again. Okay, when you do expansion again, listen, no heat enter from the surrounding to system or system to surrounding. Okay, but we are expanding the system, that means the gas is expanding, so work is done by the system. Okay, without getting any energy, the gas pushing the piston upward, that means the work is done by the gas, therefore energy of the gas should decrease. Okay, yeah, so internal energy of the system should decrease. Okay, so what is the work done in this stage? So work done during the expansion B to C is given here. It is actually a reversible adiabatic expansion. You know very well, adiabatic means Q is 0. Okay, Q 0 means no heat enter into the system or leave the system. Okay, then according to first law of thermodynamics, we know very well delta U is equal to Q plus W. Here Q is 0, so if you put Q 0, you will get delta U is equal to W. So delta U is equal to WBC. In this case, the internal energy of the system decreases, right? Therefore, delta U should be negative. So WBC is equal to N, you know very well, for ideal gas, change in internal energy is equal to NCV into delta T. Where N is number of moles. Since we took 1 mole of ideal gas here, so put N equal to 1. So 1 into CV into, what is delta T? Final temperature minus initial temperature. Listen, what is the final temperature here? This is the initial temperature T2. When the expansion takes place, the system reaches from B to C. At C, temperature is T1. Okay, so initial temperature is T2, final temperature is T1. Therefore, in the place of delta T, I'll put T1 minus T2, final temperature minus initial temperature. This is the work done during reversible adiabatic expansion. Okay, yeah. Then here remember T2 is the higher temperature because it is the temperature of the source. T1 is the temperature of the sink. Since T2 is larger, okay, this quantity will be negative. Yes, W should be negative here because expansion occurs, right? Then the third stage, reversible isothermal compression. Okay, what you have to do now here, remove the insulating materials, remove the insulation, and now I am going to compress the gas by keeping the cylinder over another temperature reservoir whose temperature is T1. Okay, now keeping the temperature as such, right, I am going to do compression. So as you compress the gas, right, to maintain temperature constant, the gas has to reject heat to the reservoir. So when you do compression, okay, the pressure of the gas changes from P3 to P4, pressure actually increases. Then volume changes from V3 to V4, volume decreases, but temperature remains constant because it is an isothermal compression. Okay, and Q1 amount of heat is rejected to the sink. Okay, now what is the work done during this process? So in this process, the work done is WCD. Listen, since it is an isothermal expansion, isothermal means change in temperature is 0. When change in temperature is 0, change in internal energy for ideal gas should be equal to 0. So delta U is 0. This is reversible isothermal compression. Okay, yeah. And since delta U is 0, so this becomes 0 here. What is Q here? Q is the heat rejected, so Q1, and W is the work done, WCD. Therefore Q1 equal to minus WCD. Now listen, what is how to calculate the work? Yeah, since it is a reversible compression, the work done can be calculated using the formula minus NR T1 ln final volume by initial volume. So final volume is V4, initial volume is V3. Since it is a compression, final volume is less, initial volume is larger. Therefore, this quantity is less than 1. Am I right? Whenever logarithm of any value which is less than 1, logarithm of a quantity which is less than 1 should give a negative value. So this logarithm value is negative, and here we have negative, so negative become positive. Okay, why it is positive? Because the gas, we carry out compression here. Work is done on the system. When you do work on the system, okay, the energy of the system will increase. Okay, and so this is the work done. Now since we have so this become positive. Since we are having negative sign here, so positive into negative become negative. So Q1 is negative. Why Q1 is negative? Because heat is rejected. Okay, whenever heat is released out, okay, then the heat should be given negative sign. Okay, yeah. So this is the work done during this process. Okay, next. The last one, reversible adiabatic compression. Now again, cover the cylinder with a 100% perfect insulating material. Okay, then carry out the compression again. Okay, when you do compression, what will happen? The pressure increases further and it reaches the initial stage P1, and the volume decreases and reaches the initial one V1. And temperature, since we are compressing the gas, okay, work is done on the system, so work energy here when you do work on the system, so work energy is transferred to the system. Therefore, energy of the gas or internal energy of the system increases. When internal energy increases, automatically temperature increases. So the system goes from low temperature T1 to a high temperature T2. Okay, yeah. So what is the work done in this process? Since it is a reversible adiabatic compression, adiabatic means Q is 0. So according to first law, delta U is equal to Q plus W. Since Q is 0 here, so delta U should be equal to W dA. And how to calculate W? W is equal to, listen, for ideal gas, change in internal energy can be calculated using the formula NCV T2 minus T1. Okay, why T2 minus T1? Because here final temperature is T2, initial temperature is T1. And we took 1 mole of gas here, so N is 1, therefore you will get this expression. So this is the work done for this stage. Okay, now, so what is the total work done? Total work done is nothing but WAB plus WBC plus WCD plus WDA. So take all the expressions, substitute here. Now see here, here we have CV into T1 minus T2. Here we have CV into T2 minus T1. So if I take minus as common here, I'll get T2 minus T1, but minus and plus get cancelled. So we can cancel these two. Okay, so we'll get minus RT2 ln V2 by V1 plus RT1. Here I'm changing the sign, minus sign becomes plus. Okay, so when you change the sign, what will happen? V4 by V3 become V3 by V4, simple. So you'll get RT1 ln V3 by V4. I'll take this as equation number 1. Okay, I'll take this as equation number 1. Now, we know very well BC and DA, B to C and D to A, they are adiabatic steps. Okay, for adiabatic process, we know very well T V power gamma minus 1 is a constant. Okay, T V power gamma minus 1. Okay, this is a constant. Therefore, at B, the temperature is T2, volume is V2. So T2 V2 power gamma minus 1 equal to, at C, temperature is T1, volume is V3. So T1 V3 power gamma minus 1. Since they are constant, these two quantities should be equal. Similarly, at D, temperature is T1, volume is V4. So T1 V4 power gamma minus 1. And at A, temperature is T2, volume is V1. So T2 V1 power gamma minus 1. Since they are constant, these two should be equal. Now, rearrange this. Okay, bring this quantity to the left hand side and this quantity to the right hand side. You will get T2 V1 gamma minus 1 equal to T1 V4 power gamma minus 1. Now I am going to cancel this equation and this equation. If I divide this by this, what will happen? T2 get cancelled. Okay, and the right hand side T1 get cancelled. So you will get V2 by V1 whole power gamma minus 1. Similarly, this side will get V3 by V4 whole power gamma minus 1. Remove the gamma minus 1. So you will get V2 by V1 equal to V3 by V4. Okay, it's a simple mathematics. So you just try to find out whether it is correct or not. Okay, then. So now V2 by V1 is equal to V3 by V4. So in the equation 1, in the place of V3 by V4, I am going to substitute V2 by V1. So what we'll get is, listen, the total work done equal to minus RT2 ln V2 by V1 plus RT1 ln, in the place of V3 by V4, we will put V2 by V1. Now see here, R ln V2 by V1, R ln V2 by V1, these quantities are equal, right? So I'll take those quantities as common with including the minus sign. So minus R ln V2 by V1 into, here I'll get positive T2 and this become minus T1. Okay, so this is the net work done. Now we are not interested on sign, we want only the magnitude. So what is the magnitude of the work done? Magnitude of the work done is just remove the sign. So R ln V2 by V1 into T2 minus T1. This is the net work done by the system. Okay, I'll take this as equation number 2. Now how to calculate efficiency? Efficiency is nothing but net work done by heat absorbed. So net work done is R ln V2 by V1 into T2 minus T1. And what is the heat absorbed in the stage, in the first stage? Heat absorbed is Q2, which is equal to RT2 ln V2 by V1. So cancel R ln V2 by cancel. So you'll get So by cancelling RR, ln V2 by V1, ln V2 by if you cancel, you will get the final answer as T2 minus T1 by T2. You can separate this as T2 by T2 minus T1 by T2. T2 by T2 is 1, therefore I can write 1 minus T1 by T2. Okay, this is the efficiency formula which we derived using Carnot cycle. Okay, now listen, what is T2? T2 is the source temperature, higher temperature. T1 is the sink temperature, it is lower temperature. Okay, since T2 is greater than T1, okay, this quantity will be always less than 1. So since it is less than 1, if I subtract this quantity from 1, we will get efficiency as less than 1. So efficiency of a heat engine, okay, should be always less than 1. So Carnot proved that, okay, even if you use an ideal reversible heat engine, it is not possible to get 100% efficiency. Okay, so this is the conclusion that that we arrived at using Carnot cycle. Okay, yeah, I stop here. We'll continue some of the important aspects of second law of thermodynamics in the next lecture. Thank you.